Imagine this. A black CEO walks into a high-stakes $4.5 billion deal only to have the manager refuse to process her payment. But here's the twist. She cancels the deal on the spot. This isn't just a corporate scandal. It's a bold statement that's shaking the business world. What happened next will blow your mind. If you're part of the Black Visionaries family, hit that like button right now and subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories like this one. The mood in the corporate boardroom was tense. The air was thick with uncertainty, and everyone in the room could feel it, the weight of what was happening in that moment. This wasn't just any corporate deal. This was the deal, an acquisition worth a staggering $4.5 billion, one that could change the trajectory of an entire company. The room was filled with high-powered executives, lawyers, and consultants, all there to finalize a transaction that had taken months to negotiate. At the center of the room stood Vanessa Reed, a black woman and the CEO of a fast-growing tech company that had caught the attention of some of the biggest names in the industry. Vanessa wasn't just any CEO. She had built her company from scratch, defying the odds stacked against her. She had faced obstacles most people couldn't even imagine. She had been underestimated at every turn, told that, as a black woman, her ambition would lead to failure. But now, standing in front of the room, Vanessa had proven every single doubter wrong. Her company was on the verge of a massive transformation. Today, she was ready to seal the biggest deal of her career. The acquisition would propel her company into new heights, making her one of the most powerful figures in tech. She was calm, collected, confident in everything she had worked for. Everything was lined up perfectly. There was just one last thing to do: make the payment to finalize the deal. At the front of the room stood Julia Hayes, a manager tasked with overseeing the financial aspects of the deal. Julia was a seasoned professional, known for her no-nonsense approach to business. She had been working in the corporate world for years, moving through the ranks with precision. Julia had seen it all: thousands of transactions, dozens of billion-dollar deals. There wasn't much that could shake her, and she prided herself on her composure under pressure. Today, however, something felt off. Something about this moment, with all the eyes on Vanessa and the deal worth billions, made her uneasy. She didn't know exactly what it was, but she had to admit, this deal felt different. Vanessa handed Julia a sleek black card, the kind that only a handful of people in the world could possess. It was the highest of high-end credit cards, a symbol of status and success that few could even dream of holding. For Vanessa, it wasn't just a symbol of wealth. It was a representation of her hard-earned place in the corporate world. This card wasn't just about money. It was about breaking barriers, about showing that a black woman could lead a billion-dollar company and make deals that changed industries. The card wasn't just a financial tool. It was a statement. Julia stared at the black card, her fingers gripping it more tightly than necessary. It was almost as if the card itself was staring back at her, challenging her in some way. The silence in the room deepened as the tension grew, and Vanessa could feel the eyes of everyone in the room on them. Vanessa's calm demeanor didn't waver, but internally she was on high alert. She knew something was wrong. Julia hesitated. The room was still. It was a long, uncomfortable pause that felt like an eternity to everyone present. Julia's eyes flicked nervously from the card to Vanessa, then back to the card. She had seen it before, so many times before, but there was something in the air today. Maybe it was the weight of the moment, the history behind this deal, or maybe it was something deeper, something personal. But whatever it was, Julia could feel her grip tightening around that card. Her mind raced. She needed to process this. "Vanessa," Julia said, her voice strained, "I'm sorry, but I can't process this card. It's company policy." Her words hung in the air, and for a second, it seemed like time had stopped. The room was frozen in disbelief. Julia had just rejected a payment method from the CEO of the company, who was at the center of this massive deal. Vanessa's heart skipped a beat, her calm facade starting to crack. She was shocked. She had done everything by the book. She had been nothing but professional, and now this? Julia's refusal wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a direct challenge to her authority, her professionalism, and everything she had worked so hard to build. It wasn't about the payment itself, it was the underlying message. It felt personal. The room shifted. Some people were unsure of what to say. Others looked to Vanessa for how to proceed. Vanessa was a leader. She had dealt with adversity her entire life, and this wasn't the first time she had faced something like this. But today, there was something different about Julia's rejection. It was like a mirror had been held up to the inequalities that still existed in the corporate world. Vanessa took a deep breath. Her gaze never left Julia's, and she didn't let the discomfort show. "What exactly is the problem here, Julia?" she asked, her voice smooth and even, but with an underlying firmness that made the room pay attention. Julia's face flushed, and she stammered. "I'm sorry. It's just the company policy," she repeated, trying to justify herself. But her words lacked conviction. It was clear to everyone that this wasn't about a policy. It was about something much more significant. The executives in the room exchanged uneasy glances. They had seen Vanessa work hard for every inch of success. They knew she wasn't one to back down from challenges. But this wasn't just any challenge. It was a direct attack on her credibility and, worse, on her identity. Vanessa knew what was happening. It wasn't just about the card. It was about race, power, and the subtle prejudices that were still embedded in every level of corporate life. Vanessa wasn't going to let this stand. She couldn't. This was the moment where she would either let this tiny act of discrimination slide or take a stand. She wasn't going to let a manager, no matter how powerful, take away everything she had worked for. "If you won't accept my payment, then the deal is off," Vanessa said, her voice steady but unwavering. "Right here, right now." The room fell into a stunned silence. The words hung in the air. No one expected her to make such a bold statement. A $4.5 billion deal, the biggest deal of her career, was on the line, and here Vanessa was, walking away from it. Just like that. Julia's eyes widened. "Vanessa, please, this isn't personal," she tried to reason, but Vanessa wasn't having it. "It's not personal?" Vanessa's voice rose slightly, and there was an edge to her words. "This isn't just about a policy, Julia. It's about respect. And if you can't respect me as a businesswoman, then there's no deal. I'm not going to sit here and let my success be questioned just because I'm a black woman." The room was silent again. Some of the executives looked away, uncomfortable with the raw honesty in Vanessa's voice. Others had already made up their minds. They knew what was at stake. They knew that this wasn't just about a transaction. It was about something bigger, a statement that would reverberate across corporate America. Vanessa wasn't just a CEO, she was a symbol. And this was her moment to redefine what it meant to be a black woman in a predominantly white corporate world. Julia stood there, flustered, clearly unsure of how to proceed. Vanessa stood up from her chair, her presence commanding the room. "If you're not going to process the payment, then the deal is canceled," she repeated. And with that, she turned and walked out of the room. The deal was off. In the days that followed, news of Vanessa's bold move spread like wildfire. Social media erupted with support for her decision. Some praised her for taking a stand, for refusing to be intimidated or undermined. Others criticized her, questioning whether she had made a rash decision. But Vanessa knew she had done the right thing. The cancellation of the $4.5 billion deal wasn't just a business move. It was a message to the world that black women belonged at the highest levels of corporate power, and that no one, no matter how influential, could take that away. Vanessa's decision made waves in the corporate world, leading to broader conversations about race, power, and respect in business. She was invited to speak at conferences, to share her story, and to inspire others to stand up against discrimination in all its forms. And while the financial fallout from the canceled deal would take time to recover from, Vanessa had already won something far more important: respect. Her actions became a defining moment in the fight for diversity and equality in corporate America. Vanessa Reed wasn't just a CEO, she was a leader, a pioneer, and an inspiration to everyone who had ever been told they didn't belong. She had taken back control of her narrative, and in doing so, had sparked a movement that would be felt for years to come. Before you go, make sure you subscribe right now and join the Black Visionaries family, because we're building a movement of stories that open eyes, touch hearts, and change lives. Until next.